Hey, Allison and Amanda here with you from the Stark Parks Education Department. And today we are talking mason bee boxes. So of course, this is a mason bee box that you can purchase, which is fun too. Go shopping for a mason bee box if you'd like. But this is one that I received as a gift. So this mason bee box, they all kind of look pretty standard with the same design for a really good reason. Today, we're going to be talking about a do-it-yourself mason bee box. You can make with things around your house or minimal purchases. But first, Allison, why do we want mason bees in our backyard?
Oh, mason bees are incredible pollinators. So the mason bee, that's the bee in the very middle of this picture. And there is a metallic form of a mason bee as well. There's a few different species of them. Um, they are incredible pollinators. They're some of the very first bees that emerge in the spring. So they pollinate those spring wildflowers. But they're a solitary bee, but they are a little bit better at pollinating than our honeybees are because they're messier. So they just kind of stick the pollen to their bodies, and as they fly from flower to flower, that pollen falls off in those flowers. So it's a little bit messier, and then they also tend to lay their eggs much closer to those patches of flowers than some of our other bee species do. So they're constantly pollinating all of those flowers, and they're very close to them. Now, the mason bees lay their eggs in tube-shaped holes. So the mason bee box kind of mimics that for them, and it gives them an excellent place for them to lay those eggs. They will put a little bit of pollen in the tube, lay an egg, and then seal it off with some mud. And then they'll lay the next egg and do the same thing. The female mason bee, she can lay 15 to 20 eggs in her lifetime. So a mason bee house can be home to quite a few bees.
That's awesome.
So it's definitely something that we want to have in our yards, and they're definitely fun to build. So do you want to tell us how we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we look at doing it at home, we can do it with things that we have already. So maybe digging into your recycling bin, using anything you can for the container. It might be a can, a jar, a jug that you've cut off with this nice big opening, even a wooden box. If you have a wooden box that's left over from something, but you definitely want it to be durable because you're putting it out in the weather. Now, the tubes that you're putting inside, again, you can be a little creative. You can use hollow sticks, you can use flower stalks if they're big enough. You can roll paper. So that's definitely a craft a little one could do. Rolling different types of paper, or if you already have paper straws, or even re-rolling the thinner cardboard from paper towel tubes or toilet paper tubes or something like that, to repurpose them. Now you want to really jam them in there. You don't have to glue it. That's not the best way to go about it, but you can. Really, if you put them in tight enough, they shouldn't be moving. Now you definitely want to make sure that they are shorter than your container, or however you think about it, you want it to have an overhang because you want it to be protected from the weather. You don't want them to get too wet and too soggy and sit in that. So having a roof or an overhang is definitely recommended. Now, these are rolled paper. These are paper straws shoved in a can. They've used a piece of felt around the outside and a string to hang this one. And we're going to talk about how to hang it. You can get a little fancier with it. So if you're a person that uses tools, I try and stay as far away from power tools as possible. But if you have a drill and want to use one, a 5/16 drill bit is the size that's recommended. And that can give you a little guidance if you're rolling your own tubes as well as to what size those really need to be. If you have an old chunk of wood, a trunk, a branch, an old piece of unused wood that you're not using for anything else laying around, drill into there. Again, this is not a bee that makes their own hole. They need a hole that is already there. So they're not damaging anything. So you can do that. You can use the little roof. Now, when you put this up, You want it to be around 6 feet off the ground, and you don't want it free swinging. That's not great for the babies, those pupae in there. So you don't want them all jostled around. So you want to affix it so it's not moving. About 6 feet off the ground, and you want the holes opening away from the weather. So a lot of our weather is coming from the west and southwest around here. So you want to face it to the north or the northeast. You know, they do like it to be warm in there. So having it in a sunny spot is great as well. And this is a great reason to plant some native wildflowers in your yard. So this is a great time to throw those seed packets out there or order some. A great time because, like Allison said, they're hunting typically, they're searching for food within about 300 feet of where they're laying those eggs. So they want stuff close. So you want that in your yard that might up your chances of having them actually use your mason bee box. You know, the other thing, don't forget, leave this up through the winter. This is not just a decoration for the summer. So those little babies are overwintering. So leave this out there. Don't take it in when you clean up in the fall. And feel free to decorate it. You don't have to, but if you are going to decorate, make sure all those decorations are mainly on the outside. So check out your mason bee boxes, see what you have around the house. If you do go ahead and make one, we would absolutely love to see what you've come up with. So share your photos. Thank you so much. Bye.